right, welcome back to the Hopeless Herpers podcast. Pretty exciting stuff today. We're going to get to talk about our trip to North Carolina, but we are actually recording from my grandpa's lake house up in northern Michigan, and I did realize that this is actually where we recorded our first podcast. I think it was 2 years ago. It could have been 3 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, though. So pretty cool moment to kind of end up where we started, and this is our 11th podcast.
Hard to believe. That's quite a few.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we haven't necessarily done like a ton every year, but we're still going to keep doing it. It's fun.
We'll get better as we go.
For sure. So we, Grandpa came down to my house from Florida as he kind of stopped on the way up to come up to Michigan for the summertime, and we decided that we'd plan a trip. We've got family in North Carolina, so we kind of lined up a place to stay for about a week or two, and decided we were going to go out and try to see what snakes we could find. But so we left from my house in Tennessee, and we decided like we're going to kind of mosey our way across Tennessee to North Carolina, just try to flip some junk. My friend David Oren had recently kind of done the same thing, and he found a bunch of really cool stuff. So we're like, we'll try it. So we just started flipping, not really having a ton of luck. We did start to get into quite a bit of ringneck snakes, which are always cool, but they're not necessarily the most rare snake. And I know, Grandpa, you liked the amount that we found that day.
Very nice. We found quite a few, surprisingly, under the flips.
Yeah, and one of the places we stopped was not expected at all, but we drove out to this like little church, and at this little church there was what looked like just a couple pieces of tin kind of stacked side by side. And we start flipping it, and we're like, okay, whatever, flipping it. And about like 20 sheets later, we're like, wow, this is a really big stack. I mean, they were closely together, so you couldn't really tell how much there actually were. But I think the first stack we went through maybe 20, 25, maybe 30, maybe 30 of those. And I mean, that tin is like, I don't know, probably 20, 30 feet long, 40 feet long maybe, and it's the big heavy-duty stuff. So, like, we were, like, sweating and going crazy. In the first stack, we got a ringneck and my first Tennessee DeKay's brown snake, which was really cool because I had been looking for one for quite a while, never really found one, but it was pretty cool. And then the next stack was actually probably more closer to, like, 50 of them. It was insane.
Yeah, I think longer too, maybe.
Yeah, I think they were heavy, and aside from that, they were like soaking wet. So, I mean, there was water. They were kind of like stuck together, and not really much room for like a really big snake. We were really hoping for a prairie king snake, but it was still pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it was nice. I had to come out of retirement to move all that stuff.
My back was killing me, and the whole time I was like, "Grandpa, are you doing all right?" He's like,
"Oh yeah,
a little sore." But
that was good.
Yeah. It's good exercise for sure. And I like flipping because you just never know what you're going to find. And so even if you're getting little stuff, it's like it's still exciting.
Yeah, because anything can come out.
Yeah. So kind of unfortunately, it ended up raining. I mean, pretty much right after that. We tried to cruise a little bit. We're looking for stuff to flip. A lot of stuff didn't really turn out, which is kind of what happens when you're looking for stuff to flip. Sometimes you just miss it. And we started just getting downpoured. And we're like, because we were planning on stopping around Knoxville to hang out the next day. And so we're like, we'll just drive through. It's no sense wasting a day and a half just waiting for the rain to stop. So we ended up just driving right through the night and getting to North Carolina like super early in the morning.
Nice areas. New areas are always exciting.
I was definitely a little bit scared driving through the mountains with that rain because it was like you could not see a thing. I was a little scared, but Grandpa was cheering me on.
Yeah, I wasn't scared.
He had his faith in me.
I'm ready to go. It doesn't matter what. I've lived a full life.
I wish I could say the same, but I've got hopefully a bright future ahead of me.
I hope so too.
So our first day, we decided to just like go full force and hit one of the biggest flip sites that I had scouted, and I thought it was going to be one of the most insane things. And we showed up, and it looked so good. There wasn't as much tin on the ground as I thought there was, but we started just going through, flipping this big, massive corrugated red tin, and like there was a whole barn that was collapsed full of this stuff. And so we went through a couple hours and just flipped all of that stuff and didn't really have a ton of luck. And some of the perfect habitat, too. Sometimes you get cover and it's like, it's not in the best habitat, but this was like, I mean, what I would say the most perfect habitat for the stuff that we were looking for. And we ended up getting literally one racer out of, I mean, just a ton of tin. It was insane.
Oh, right near the city there, right?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Right. And then,
Oh, yeah, it looked like you were going to clean up.
oh yeah, I thought we were gonna I thought it was gonna be snake after snake after snake. But although I did, I don't know if I think I told you this, but I was going through the footage, and on my GoPro we got the flip clip of the racer, and when we flipped it, there looked like a racer, but then for some reason I thought there might have been two under there, and I said, "Grandpa, was there two? Was there two?" He's like, "No, there was just one," and it kind of shot out, so I went and caught it, and I was reviewing the footage. And I'm like, wait a second. So I paused it. I'm like zooming in, and I see two tails. And I'm like, wait, could that be? No. And I'm like, that is definitely two tails from two separate racers. So there ended up being two under there, which would have been cool to get them both. But I think we actually found the second one in another piece a little bit later, and it also got away. So only caught one racer, but there was at least two of them there.
Still our first Carolina.
Yeah,
wasn't
our
it?
first
Yep.
North Carolina snake. So, I mean, we did find quite a few racers during that trip. Think about one every day, right? Just about.
We were doing that. We were saying that.
But I will say North Carolina racers are probably one of my favorite. I love their a lot of them had just these deep black eyes, very, very like iridescent almost, and then a little bit of a white chin. Just some of my favorite racers that I've come across.
They all look the same to me.
I noticed more of the little details.
Yeah, you do.
So one thing we had to pretty much struggle with the entire time in North Carolina was the weather. We had constant days where it was like, is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain? Is it going to thunderstorm? Like, what's going to happen? We were always looking at the radar, fighting it and seeing, like, when are we going to go? Where's our window? And that pretty much happened almost every single day where we were like, what are we going to do? Like, we don't want to get caught in rain and all this type of stuff. So it was pretty constant battle. But on the second day, we went out with my cousin Owen, and he had done a little bit of herping with us up here in Michigan when he comes and visits the lake house, but he hadn't really found like a ton of, especially like more rare stuff with me and Grandpa. So we brought him out, and we're gonna just try to find snakes road cruising. Cruising, unfortunately, didn't really pay off, so we kind of stopped to hike around a little pond. We're like, whatever, it's been a while, we'll just start hiking. And pretty soon, I noticed a snake in the water, and it was a little cottonmouth crawling up out of the water, and I was like super excited because this was kind of like our first, good find, I guess, that we were going to hopefully find in North Carolina and get a look at. And unfortunately, it went into like the bushes, and we couldn't really track it down. I didn't have my snake hook on me, and so I was like, Grandpa, go grab it. But we weren't able to. We weren't able to get it just then. And then on the way back around, I was like, we can just check. And then I pretty much gave up. I didn't see it in the same area, and Grandpa was looking like really closely. He usually takes a little bit more time, moves a little bit slower, and a lot of times he'll find stuff that I missed. I mean, it happens quite a bit, just like happened with the hognose. But
Yeah.
it was just coiled up in between two trees down at this little embankment.
It's always good to have another set of eyes.
It's definitely, yep. And it was pretty cool. We ended up being able to kind of hook him out and bring him out to the road and get a look at him, which was super, super cool. And it was also my cousin Owen. It was his first venomous snake ever, which is pretty cool. And a cottonmouth's definitely a good one. I remember being so excited to get my first venomous one, and I think he definitely had a good day.
Oh, yeah. He loved it.
And cottonmouths are just a fun snake to find. I love them.
Yeah. When we were in Indiana, though, we found
Illinois.
Illinois,
Yeah.
excuse me. Yeah. We found a lot of them.
Yeah.
That was exceptional, though.
Yeah. To get that many, I couldn't imagine getting that many in North
No.
Carolina. But so we went back to road cruising a little bit, and we did come across a corn snake that had just been ran over. Not really sure if it ended up being okay or not, but we did just let it off the side of the road, which was unfortunate. I really wanted, and it was one of the most beautiful corn snakes I've ever seen. Just a really, really bright colored red, had kind of like a tan kind of background color to it. And I just love corn snakes, so it was really, really sad to see, and especially with Grandpa and Owen there. it just kind of sucks to get a snake like that. But it happens all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can just hope that they survive.
Yeah.
Wasn't too bad, but
Yeah.
you don't ever know.
Rat snakes are one of the few snakes that if they do get hit and if it's more toward their head that they can survive. I've seen it happen. But hey, we're wishing that guy the best. We hope he made it, and we hope he's snacking on mice right now.
That's right. We always figure they did.
Yeah. we always imagine that
Hope.
they did. So on our third day, we weren't really sure what to do. We decided to kind of just drive toward some roads more toward south coastal North Carolina, and we're just kind of trying to find good roads to cruise. But the roads that the roads that I scoped out that I was like, oh man, these look so good, and there's good snakes in the area. They ended up being like logging roads, and they were closed off. So like I was planning on spending basically the whole day cruising there, and all those roads were closed off completely, and we couldn't go on them. So I was like, what do we do now? Like, we drove an hour and a half to get down here, and what are we gonna do? So we kind of just drove around randomly, looking for stuff to maybe flip, and there was like constant little rainstorms that would pop up and just dump on us, and we ended up finding a couple good, decent places to flip just on the side of the road. And the first one, we kind of just passed this little side road, and I saw a little barn down. I'm like, let's just go check it out. Why not? So we go down, check it out, and it's not looking too good. We started to kind of flip some stuff, but there wasn't like a lot of tin on the ground. And so we walked around it. Grandpa was looking around it inside, and I kind of go all the way around to almost where we started. And I go inside, and I lift up this little piece of tin that's just kind of sitting in the inside on top of some other stuff. Didn't really look too good. And coiled up right in the middle of that piece of tin was a massive, and I mean massive, eastern copperhead.
My first.
Your first copperhead
yeah.
species, yeah.
That was exciting for me.
And the cool thing about that is the day before when we were driving back with my cousin, we were just kind of talking about cottonmouths and copperheads and their venom, and we kind of were looking up, copperheads in North Carolina and looking up different things. And I feel like we're getting kind of excited. Like, man, I kind of want to see a copperhead because we were talking about it for so long. And when we finally found it, I was like, wow. I mean, we've been talking about this. We talked about it for hours the day before. And it was kind of cool to just like, there it is, first snake of the day.
Yeah, and when we were talking about it, they said where we looked it up, they were very camouflaged. A lot of people get snake bites from them. This one was pretty easy to see, though.
Yeah, it was massive.
Because it was flipped and beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably like 3.5 feet long and just beautiful.
Nice color.
I got some really good pictures of that one, and I'm really glad I did. I also think I lost my Ray-Ban sunglasses there.
That's not good.
It's not good. Somebody wants to go find them for me. I would appreciate that. So on our next spot, we went through some more rain. We came out and noticed another little spot on the side of the road, so we're like, we'll check it out. And there was a lot of junk, but none of it was like good junk, if that makes sense. There was a lot of just kind of tarps that were like embedded in the ground. We flipped some stuff, but it wasn't like as good as it could have been. And I found one little racer just kind of crawling around. It was kind of like an old trailer house. And on our way back out, same way we came in, just kind of like a little path that kind of went toward this old abandoned building. And I walk out, and I'm just not even paying attention. I'm just getting ready to walk to the car, not even that far, probably 20, 30 yards from the car. And I'm like, I scream. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because sitting like 2 feet in front of me is like a 5-foot eastern rat snake, like an olive green phase eastern rat snake. And I was like, Grandpa, there's a big rat snake out here. And he's like, huh? What? We were so confused because, like I said, like our car was right on the edge of the road, and this is like mowed grass. It had to have, and this big highway had to have either crossed it or been in like a ditch or drainage ditch or something and came out of there. But I'm like, how did we not see the snake when we came out?
Yeah.
Like it's like it just appeared there, and it was just sitting there too.
Yeah, right on the corner of two roads there. The T was right there, wasn't it?
The what?
A T to them roads. The roads teed in.
That was the
corner
copperhead.
lot, wasn't
That
it?
was the copperhead. Was at a T like that. This one was like right on the highway.
Oh, was that just one road that went through there?
I think so. Yeah, it was
Oh.
just one.
And you said that racer you saw just before that, you said he was just moseying through, but I thought he was flying through there.
No,
When
no,
you-
he was sitting right on the edge of this tree. But it was really cool. I know you love big rat snakes. Any
Oh,
big
yeah.
snake species, you're like,
It was beauty.
yeah.
It was big.
And so green too. Like I didn't really expect it to be that green. Probably one of my favorite rat snake species.
Yeah, large ones are always exciting for me anyway.
Yeah. So from there, we really weren't sure what to do, and on kind of like a spur of the moment thing, which was a big trend in this trip. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, sure, let's do it. So we decided to drive like 2.5 more hours north toward like the northern coastal part of North Carolina to road cruise, and we got there that evening, and I was not really sure what even to really do, but we start cruising and we fly across this thing, and I'm like, whoa, was that a snake? So we like put it in park, run back, and sitting in the road is a beautiful rough green snake, which I have not found a ton of green snakes. So I was like, whoa, this is really, really awesome. And I'm pretty sure you love green snakes too.
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you?
Everybody should.
Man, they're just, they're small, they're little, but they're just green. And there's something about just finding just a solid green snake with
Yeah.
those yellow eyes. It's just, I love it.
Unique. Yep.
But from there, we literally just started cruising more, and probably within a span of an hour, we ended up getting 5 rough green snakes.
Yeah. That's phenomenal.
I was so surprised, and it was pretty funny because we cruised the first one, and I was like, Grandpa, I told him that David Oren one time found like 13 in one day or something like that, and he's like, oh yeah, that'd be crazy. That's almost impossible. And as we started getting them, I was like, it doesn't seem so impossible now, does it? After getting
No.
like 5 in an hour. But it was super cool. I had only the year before when we were at Snake Road, we found 2, and that's the most I've ever found in a year is 2 smooth green snakes. And this year I'm at like 7. So I've gotten 2 in Tennessee and then the 5 in North Carolina, which was really, really cool. I just love seeing those snakes, and they're just a fun one to find.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you came along because you were the one that spotted them green snakes. I spotted 0.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely are a hard one to spot, especially on like a light colored road like that, and just being as small. I mean, some of them were literally 6, 7, 8 inches
Yep.
long, and yeah, Papa, you looked a little frustrated. You're like, where are these snakes coming from? I can't see any of them. And I mean, I had to straddle a lot of them, which I usually hate doing, but just they're so small, and like at the last second I'd see them, and then I'd have to straddle them. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
A lot of fun.
And I think we also got a little banded water snake that night, which is nothing
did.
special, but you spotted that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you remembered. You
it was
spotted
big enough. I wouldn't forget that.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a cottonmouth. I ran up to it, and I was like, okay, we're good. And then he was going like nuts at me. But yeah, that was pretty cool because we were about to turn onto a different road, and Grandpa said,
I looked back on the other side of that road, and saw him down there.
Yep, that was one we wouldn't have found without you. Like I said, you sometimes will spot ones that I miss.
Every once in a while.
Yep.
Good feeling.
I love it when they're a really good one, too. Like a
Yeah.
hog nose.
Oh, yeah. That was...
So, like, after a super long night, that night, we drove all the way back to kind of where we stayed. And the next day, we got out, and we're like, we're just going to road cruise the Sandhills. We were really hoping to get eastern hognose, southern hognose, mole king snakes, and pine snakes. That was kind of the ones that we really wanted to target. So we started cruising, and literally, we got out pretty early, probably started cruising like around 9, 10 o'clock, and all the way until like 1 o'clock, we didn't see anything, and it was just so slow. Pretty discouraging, honestly, just to, spend that much time in the car cruising. And we were driving kind of up this little hill embankment, and as soon as we got to the peak, and I was going pretty fast, but right there in the road is a massive snake, and I had to swerve like around him. And as soon as I'm going around him, I'm like, I know what this is. This is a northern pine snake in the middle of the road. So like I fly up the road, slam on my brakes, and I throw it in park, and I'm still skidding when I throw it in park. So it's like full on moment. Like it was pretty jarring and crazy. But I throw it in park, and I'm already like climbing out the car simultaneously as all this is going on, and just an absolutely massive northern pine snake. Beautiful, white colored, just picture perfect. And I was freaking out. I'm still like, oh my goodness, it was awesome.
Yeah. We didn't think we'd find one. We were hoping, but...
Yeah. And that
That was one of our targets.
Yeah, that was one of the targets, and I was like, wasn't really expecting it to happen. I thought hognose would be more likely, but it was pretty awesome. Hearing it hiss, and like I always, whenever I watch people like Will Robertson and Noah and other people find pine snakes, I'm like, I mean, it's kind of cool, but I mean, they always get excited about it, and I'm like, now I realize like it's a pine snake. It's rare. It's big. It's unique. It's just an awesome find. If you haven't tried to find pine snakes yet, you need to do it. Find a pine snake.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Hopefully this year.
Yeah, but it can happen.
Hopefully this year we can try to find a Florida pine snake.
That would be
and get
nice.
the two species, and then maybe eventually we can get like black pine and all the other ones that I rarely even think about. But pine snakes are just awesome.
Check them off the list.
Yep. That was the pine snake. We got the pine snake that day, and after literally like 5 more hours of cruising, we got one little juvenile racer, and that's all we got the entire day. So definitely a quality over quantity day, which, you know, I'm not really complaining. We got a pine snake, so, but just kind of odd. I would have expected there to be more snakes moving in like 10 hours of cruising.
We did a little walking that day too, a little bit, didn't we?
I think we hiked a little bit.
Oh, wasn't that the area Owen was with us?
Yeah, we probably. I think we hiked that pond a little bit again, just shortly to kind of see if there's anything. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to know what method to do, whether to road cruise, to hike, to flip. It's just you gotta iterate it and figure out what's gonna work. Uncle Dan. What's going on, boys? Fish guts?
Snake podcast.
Fish guts?
Awesome. Yep, got fish.
Ooh, I smell it.
I finally caught one today, Dan.
Yeah, I caught some nice ones and they kept breaking it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Lost the lure.
Had 2 of them come up there, big pike.
We didn't do too good today. Grandpa caught the only bass.
On a worm chip this big.
I caught it
On my Goby pole.
in there.
15-inch, yep.
And then I caught
What? No, we're recording.
2 largemouth keepers.
Really?
Nice.
Nice.
The picture I'm pulling up.
Yeah. That's cool. So, let's see. Day 5, we went to hike some sandhill habitat, I believe. Yeah, we went to hike some sandhill habitat, and we ended up hiking this kind of little lowland, wetland area, and I spotted a cottonmouth or two. One of them got away for sure, but we got one cottonmouth that I got a good look at, and then we were hiking around more, and I was way ahead of Grandpa, and I just hear, snake, snake, it might be a pine snake. It might be a pine snake. And so I'm like, I'm hightailing it toward Grandpa, and he had spotted a really, really, really big eastern and gray rat intergrade, and it was kind of like had its head over a log and stretched out, was super big, and I had literally ran within feet of it. I mean, not ran, but walked within feet of it and never noticed it. And that was another one that Grandpa just spotted and found, but that was pretty cool.
Yep. I love when I find something.
And
Makes
another
a good day for me.
another massive one too.
Yeah, good one.
But you definitely gave me a jump scare when you said pine snake. I was like, no way, Grandpa just found a pine snake.
I was hoping.
Yeah, we gotta work on the identification skills a little bit.
A lot.
But usually you're with me, so it doesn't matter either way.
That's true.
But when it comes to like, Grandpa, you better grab it before it gets away, and he doesn't know what it is. That's where it becomes necessary.
Yeah.
Dog's barking. Daisy, be quiet. I'm recording a podcast. So on our 6th day, we started off with a little bit of hiking. We only got a water snake and a racer, just really common stuff. So we ended up driving back toward coastal North Carolina, which, to be honest, ended up being kind of where we found the most of our stuff. And honestly, if we would have spent every day there, I wouldn't have really minded. It was nice to to get the pine snake for sure, but the sandhills really just didn't have quite as much luck as coastal did.
Yeah, we did real well there.
It was a little unfortunate because would have loved to see hognose and some of the other sandhill species, but we ended up finding a lot of good stuff in coastal North Carolina. When we drove down there, it was pretty late, we started off really slope, I think. I mean, I don't think we found barely anything, but we did actually come across some herpers at the place we were at. It's I would say pretty common area to find herpers because of just the diversity and just the area that it's in. And they were like, hey, should we exchange information so, like, if we find something cool, we can hop over and see it? Because we were just cruising the same road anyway. It's like, yeah, we'll do that. And we started cruising. We got a really nice copperhead in the road, which was pretty cool. Grandpa, you spotted that one too. I had to straddle it. I was so tired and I guess not paying attention, but he's like, did you see that snake? And then I had to straddle him. But it was a pretty slow night. I think we got another water snake, but as we were driving, not too long after the copperhead, our friends that we had just met, they text me and they're like, we just got an EK. And I was like, EK, Eastern King Snake? I was like, no way they got an Eastern King Snake. So, like, we hop on it, pedal to the metal, flying down the road, looking for him. And we pull up right as they're about to let it go because they didn't want to hang on to it for too long. And we walked up there, and I was like, my mind was blown. I didn't even know Eastern King Snakes were, like, in this area because I hadn't done a ton of research. But it was not quite a juvenile, really small one, though. And we didn't want to stress it out for too long, so we had to let it go pretty quickly. So I didn't get a ton of video in it. I literally have like maybe a 10-second clip of it in the video. But that was still super exciting, and it made me really want to get my own. Because, like, cruising something for yourself is definitely a lot better, in my opinion, than, like, someone showing it to you. It's still cool, and I still like it. I'm glad that they showed it to us. But it's just, there's something about finding it yourself and cruising it and having that initial excitement that's just, it's hard to beat.
I think I heard that same story that night when they found it and you didn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, man, now
I was kind of bummed.
We have to find our own, Grandpa. Like, we can't even leave until we find our own. Like, I'm gonna be devastated if we don't. So, we ended up just staying the night in that area. We cruised really late, and we got out that morning to try to find Carolina pygmies, which was one of the targets we were hoping to find. We ended up hiking for a while in the morning in some, what I would say is the perfect habitat for pygmies, checking the old stumps, the logs, all the stuff that you would expect them to be. And we only ended up getting one racer, which, again, Grandpa spotted. Kudos to Grandpa. Apparently you found a lot this trip. I never really realized it, but you found a lot. A lot of racers.
Enough that you'll keep me around, maybe.
Yeah, enough. You're worth it. Yep, you help out a little bit. But yeah, it was pretty slow. And after that, like, I was expecting to hike for a while, and it was just we weren't turning up much. So I hopped in my car. We started cruising a little bit, and then I was just like, I was so lost. I was like, what do we do? I'm pretty sure I told Grandpa, I was like, I have no idea what to do. I don't know where we're gonna go. I have no spots signed up. I have no idea what to do. I was like, what do we do? Grandpa's like, I don't know. You're the expert.
Yeah, that's what I usually say. Yeah.
I'm like, Grandpa, I need some input here. But I was like, maybe we just try cruising, just random roads. Literally, not even like good habitat, just like in like subdivisions almost, not quite subdivisions, but so we just start doing random roads. Mm-hmm. And not too long after that, we kind of come around this turn, and Grandpa sees something way up in the road, and he goes, "Snake!" Oh, I'm just kidding. It's probably one of those little patches on the road.
Tar strips. Yeah.
Tar strips. And as we get up closer to it, I'm like, no way, that's a snake. That's a snake. And it's massive and black. And I'm like, there's only one thing that could be an Eastern King snake. So I was like, my mind was blown. We ran out there. It was just an absolutely massive one. Picture perfect, like exactly what I had wanted to see. And it was pretty funny.
Yep.
Because he said snake, and I'm like, no, it's not a snake. That's what
I said. Not a snake either. I was.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I didn't even see it. I didn't even see what it was. But you're like, snake. Nope, kidding, just kidding. And I was like, whatever. And then we get up to it, and I'm like, how in the world did you see that?
Yeah, I'm good.
How do you miss all? How do you miss all the green snakes and even a bunch of other snakes during this trip you couldn't see on the road, and you see a snake that's like 50 yards away on blacktop that you can't even see?
Yeah, I'm fortunate.
I think I'm gonna start doing that. I'm just gonna, when we're road cruising, I'm gonna say snake, and then 10 minutes later when we found someone, I'll be like, oh yeah, I saw it from there. And say that, yeah, I could see it from there.
See who's the farthest away record.
Yeah. But that was really cool, and that really fired me up. And the one thing that we kind of decided is there was a big storm front moving in, and so we're like, maybe they're starting to move. And so we went back to the road that we had cruised at night and started cruising, and we got another eastern king snake pretty soon. And then we proceeded to get, I believe, 2 more after that. So we ended up getting 4 that entire day, eastern king snakes, absolutely massive. And some of them actually, I didn't even realize this was a thing until I watched Will Robertson's video, but they had a little bit of the Outer Banks king snake kind of influence. And I know that king snakes can get that everywhere, but some of them had a lot of that speckling that I would really expect only from getting the genetics from an Outer Banks king snake, which I know you probably don't know anything about.
No.
But it's kind of the speckling pattern on the side of
I
it.
remember
And
that.
some of them did have that. And I had no clue what it was at the time, but it was kind of cool to... And we got ones that had it, ones that didn't have it, ones that had a little, ones that had a lot. So that was pretty cool. And we also, when we were going back into town to grab lunch and stuff, we cruised another little rat snake. And right before we left, it had started to rain more. We got another one of the targets that I was hoping to see and didn't really expect, a glossy swamp snake, which was a pretty funny one.
Yeah.
We rolled up on it, and I was like, what is this? It's a water snake. Wait, no, it's not a water snake. What is this? What is it? And I finally am like, okay, it's not venomous. I picked it up, and I saw the belly, and I saw that it had these stripes, just like the queen snake. And I was like, this is definitely related to a queen snake, so I knew it was like a crayfish snake or something like that. So it was a glossy crayfish or glossy swamp snake. I think it's also called glossy crayfish snake. It's a really confusing taxonomy, but I knew it was related to a king snake by looking at its belly, and it was pretty cool. I didn't know they got that big. I was always expecting to get like a really small one, but very, very interesting snake.
Yeah. Finding them are the king snakes, the eastern, right?
The eastern king snakes, yeah.
Yeah. We went from the first day when our friends found it
Yeah.
to saying, oh, we got to have this. We got to have one.
And we got 4.
And after the 4, we're like, oh, this is too easy. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Kind of yawning.
Yeah. And the cool thing was they were also out cruising that afternoon, so we got to show, I don't know if we showed 2 of the king snakes, at least one of them, and then the crayfish snake we got to share with them. So it kind of, it felt pretty good to kind of repay the kindness and let them get a look at some
Yeah,
of
they
the
were
stuff that
pretty
we found.
excited about that snake, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when I kept texting them like, hey, we found another king snake. We found another king snake. And they're like, what? Are you kidding me? I was like, are king snakes really that common here? I guess they were. But I guess that just shows the importance of cruising or any kind of herping before a big weather event like a storm rolling in. It really gets them moving. And I had heard people say that before and never really, not that I didn't believe it, but I never really like experienced it. And doing that, like finding that, all those snakes right before that massive thunderstorm hit, it was like, this makes sense. I get it now. I get why people say to cruise before thunderstorms and things
No
like
green
that.
snakes, though.
No, that was
That's
surprising.
where we found them before.
Yeah, we didn't get any more green snakes, so it must have been just like a day thing.
Oh, yeah, that was a good. Very fortunate that day.
Yeah, very nice. That Mason, do you want to be on the podcast? Okay, not today. Let's see. So we ended up driving back late that night, and actually, I was very, very excited for what happened on the way home. We got a wonderful flat tire. Very wonderful, right?
Finally, I got to be along for a good reason.
Yep. Yeah, it was.
I was the expert that time.
I'm very thankful that Grandpa was here. Although it could have potentially been avoided, possibly. Maybe.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
I think we should talk about that.
No, we shouldn't.
Okay, we won't talk about that.
Go ahead. I don't.
It may have been avoidable because my check tire pressure light came on, and I was like, "Uh-oh, Grandpa, it's on." He's like, "Oh, that probably happens all the time. It's no biggie." And then about an hour later, it was
On the highway too,
on the highway,
going 70 miles an hour.
and Grandpa didn't even realize that at first. I was like, "You hear that?" We thought it was a truck at first, like a
Yeah.
semi truck. It sounded like a kind of the downshifting a little bit. And
Was I driving then?
you were driving, yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we pulled over, got to work on that. Thankfully, there was 2 of us there. I could hold the light, and we could kind of work on it together. It only took about probably 45 minutes. Only.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
a pretty good time, I think. probably.
A little wet. At least it didn't pour or nothing.
But thankfully, we had brought one of our little electric pumps to pump the spare up because the spare was like what, super low.
Well, them you need at least 50, 60 pounds because they're small, and it had maybe 10 pounds. So
We wouldn't have made it very far, would we have?
very slow if we did.
Yeah. And that, I mean, we were still an hour or so away from
Oh yeah,
our cousins where we were staying. So that was, I was very glad you were with me, but I feel like it might be a little bit my fault because when we left from my house, I was like, hey, maybe we'll get a flat tire this trip, Grandpa, and you can show me how to change one. And I totally ate my words on that one.
That still didn't help when you told me to check the tire before we left.
Yeah. What can you do?
I'm like, don't worry.
Ended up being a cheap fix anyway, so no harm.
Yeah, we had everything. That's
No
right.
But definitely something that made the trip
Exciting.
exciting. Yeah, exciting. And I mean, I know it's not a real herping trip without getting a flat tire, right?
No, that added to the excitement.
Yeah, I feel like a true herper now. So that was our last night in North Carolina. In the morning, we headed out, and we decided to come back through South Carolina and Georgia to try to get a hognose because that was one of the things we really wanted to target, kind of like I mentioned. So we started going through. I didn't really have a ton of spots lined up, but we stopped in at one spot in South Carolina. Literally got one snake, a rat snake, and one thing that was cool there, we found a little musk turtle, which was my lifer, and it was a turtle that I had wanted to find forever. And I keep finding mud turtles. I'd found so many mud turtles. I was like, are these musk turtles? Like, I never knew the difference really until I found the musk turtle. I'm like, oh, I see the difference now. But it was cool to get that lifer turtle, something I'd wanted to find for a while. And it was a pretty cool catch too. I kind of like jumped in this ditch to grab him.
That was exciting. You always make it more exciting.
Freaking out.
And I don't do the diving and jumping.
But we loved the habitat there though, didn't we?
Beautiful.
In South Carolina. I was like, man, how does this not have more snakes? It was just great.
Oh, yeah.
And we hiked a lot of habitat too.
I'm surprised we didn't find more.
But what can you do?
Yeah, still, we go on them walks, and it's just like the hiking's got to have some value too.
Yeah. Oh
'Cause
yeah.
it's beautiful.
Staying in shape, enjoying nature, getting a nice suntan, talking.
Suntan.
Yeah.
I stay that way.
Oh yeah. For me, it's a suntan.
That's why the Florida in the winter.
Yeah. But yeah, we went all the way through to Georgia. We stayed in Georgia. Woke up the next morning to hike kind of a little mountainside for hognose, and we didn't find a ton. We did find a couple worm snakes, a ringneck that you flipped, and we also got two southeastern crown snakes, Tantilla. That was really cool because like I was not expecting that. And Tantilla are always a cool find. I actually had only found them in one spot near my house in Tennessee, so it was cool to get them somewhere else in another state, and just in general get snakes in another state.
Yeah, that must have been another popular hike spot because, oh yeah, it was worth the hike itself.
Yeah, very cool terrain. You could see just for miles at the peak, and just kind of cool area.
Very nice.
We'll have to do a little bit more exploring in that area at some point.
Yep.
To really get the meat and potatoes of the snakes and stuff that live there.
Where are they? Yep. That was just a pass through.
Yeah, we didn't have a ton of time, not for a real extensive overview search of it. But it was pretty fun.
Enjoyed it. Wouldn't have missed it.
But that was definitely, the trip to North Carolina was definitely what I would consider our biggest trip together. I mean, I've gone down to Florida and we've done stuff. The Everglades was cool, but that was only a few days. This was kind of our big, like, we're traveling, we're doing everything it is just to find snakes, kind of exclusive snake herping trip. And it turned out pretty well.
Real good. New area. Got to see the relatives.
Yep. And I think, what'd we get? Northern pine snakes were new.
That was good.
You got copperheads. You got a few more lifers than I did. Northern pine snake, the eastern king snake, both big targets that I wanted to see. The swamp snake, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think those were the only lifers for me. You got copperheads, but yeah. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. My GoPro shut off, and then I checked my main camera, and apparently it was off for who knows how long, so that's unfortunate. But what can you do? At least we have 2 cameras, and
That's good.
hopefully it works out. But I did want to talk about one little trip that I took real quick before we wrap up here. Unfortunately, Grandpa wasn't with me, but I went on my first solo trip where I traveled by myself and stayed overnight. I stayed in my car, but I went out to West Tennessee to target western mud snakes and a couple water snake species. And I drove out there the first evening. I was there. I missed 5 or 6 snakes off the road. I'd see it, run up to it, be gone. I think I lost a couple razors, ribbon snake, something big, probably like a diamondback water snake, which would have been a lifer for me, and a bunch of other stuff that I just lost. I ended up only getting 1 ribbon snake for the entire night. So I got up in the morning, started cruising, and missed a couple things off the road, and I decided to kind of go drive along these little canals and things looking for water snakes, and I would just kind of stop and walk at the edge. And by this little drainage ditch, I saw a water snake jump in the water, and I kind of looked around. I saw him in the water. I got down there. I leaned around and just grabbed him right out of the water. Didn't know what hit him. And when I pulled it up, I was like, whoa, okay, what is this thing? It looks like a banded water snake, but I've never seen a belly like this. And I'm like, okay, this has to be, bruh. I knew it had to be a broad-banded water snake, which was a big lifer for me, and something I wasn't overly expecting. And then after that, I got a plain-bellied water snake next to the water, and I started cruising. I got a cottonmouth, which was really awesome, and I think I got a ton of plain-bellied water snake. I don't know in what order of things that I got it, but ton of those guys, probably 10 or so. After I got the cottonmouth, I started cruising, and I was driving down this road just straight. I had my GoPro running, which was really cool, and I get up, I'm driving, I see a snake, I get closer to it, and as I get closer to it, I realize it's a western mud snake, a massive western mud snake. So I hop out the car, run up to it, and I'm just freaking out. It was so exciting to get a target like that. First time for me targeting mud snakes exclusively, by myself, and I've barely ever even been in range of western mud snakes except for at Snake Road. So it was super exciting. I got a ton of snakes that day. Some, like I said, lots of plain-bellied. I got another cottonmouth. And as it got dark that evening, I ended up cruising a Mississippi green water snake, which I had found in Illinois, not in Tennessee before. I also later on cruised a diamondback water snake, and at the end of the night, I also cruised a gray rat snake. It's hard to remember everything, but what else did I? So I was driving, and I was making this little video about I think I've got all the water snake species in the state, which is pretty cool, big moment. And right then on camera, as I'm filming, I cruised a juvenile western mud snake. I was like, how does that happen? On video, got all the finds on video pretty much, and literally just found another mud snake. It still blows my mind.
Seems like I got at least one FaceTime during that trip.
Oh, definitely.
FaceTime?
Yes, for sure.
Because you were kept every once in a while letting me know you started doing really well.
Whenever I got service.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I got service. But as soon as I cruised the mud snake, it was pretty funny. I literally decided to just start recording and talk about the water snakes again. And I found a brown snake, and then another brown snake, and then another brown snake. I think I got 3 or 4 brown snakes after that, which was pretty cool because those were the first ones that I found after the one that we found in Tennessee. And I love brown snakes. They're they're a fossorial snake. They're small. They're underappreciated, but they're cool.
Mm-hmm. Anything new and exciting. Variety.
Yeah, that's what was cool about just West Tennessee is I found so many different species, and I got all of the species in West Tennessee. I think I literally knocked them all off the list. Mud snakes, Mississippi green are the 2 big ones. Diamondback water snakes, cottonmouth, like everything that I wanted to find, that I had wanted to target, I found it. And that's like insane. Like if we would have found that in North Carolina, if we would have got both species of hognose, like if we would have got everything on the list, imagine how insane that would have been.
Yeah, very unusual.
Yeah. But, you know, one thing I will say is even though we didn't get that type of stuff, it gives us incentive to really want to go back because we really want to find southern hognose and eastern hognose in North Carolina and bull king snakes in North Carolina. So it's, who knows, maybe it might even be like a yearly thing now.
That would be good. The
My-
relatives would love it.
My cousin Owen graduates next year, and we're hoping to go to his graduation party and hang out and find some snakes some point in May or June.
Good reason to go.
Definitely. But overall, it's been a pretty crazy couple weeks. We might even, at some point, I have to leave today to head kind of back toward Tennessee in the next couple of days. And maybe the next time I see you, we can talk about some of the stuff that I found in the meantime, and we can catch up a little bit. But it's been exciting.
And I'm sure when I get there, we can do something.
Oh, we'll do something.
Yeah,
You can bet on that.
back to Illinois. Maybe.
Hopefully. We'll see.
It'd be a little earlier, though.
We'll see. Yeah, it will be September, I think,
Yeah.
at some point. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about Snake Road. We'll see. We might even hit Alabama a little bit because I've never herped there really.
That would be fun.
And
I would like that.
we'll maybe be able to find September's a good time for rattlesnakes. We'll see what we can do.
I need that. I need the rattlesnake.
Oh, you need it, yeah, for sure. That is gonna wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're not already, subscribe to us on YouTube and leave us any questions that you have in the comments. Or you can also reach out to us by email. The address is thehopelessherpers@gmail.com. Send us anything you have. We love to hear from you guys. If you have questions for me or Grandpa, probably have questions for Grandpa because he's amazing. You want to ask him
Thank
questions,
you.
trust me. You want to ask him questions. Go ahead and do that. We'd appreciate it. But also, I did want to mention that I did recently launch a Patreon page. So if you really want to support the channel, you can go over to that. I'll try to leave a link into the description. We'd really appreciate that. I've got some really cool stuff planned on there to kind of make it worth it for you guys. So do that if you'd like to. But thank you guys so much for watching or listening. And we'll catch you next time on the Hopeless Herpers podcast.
Thank you.
Ugh.